Kynan!
William Shakespeare, is that you?
What ails you, Kynan? Thou doth seem a sagging potato from the earth's womb untimely ripped, whose eyes, blinded by the harsh light of the autumn morn, see only darkness.
Rude. Are you asking why I look tired? I couldn't sleep last night.
But wherefore was thy slumber interrupted? Wherefore means why, by the way.
I know.
Because a lot of people still get that wrong.
I know what it means.
They're like, wherefore art thou, Romeo? He's right there. Because they don't know that she's asking, why is Romeo a Capulet? You know, is it?
I know what wherefore means, and Romeo is a Montague.
Oh, touche. So, wherefore dost thou look like shit?
I had a bad dream.
A bad dream? There's no such thing. If it be thus to dream, still let me sleep. What dreams may come, to sleep, perchance to dream a dream.
So you're just quoting yourself now?
Methinks we need another word.
Hey, where'd you get that quill?
There. I do believe your evil dream did creep upon you like some fell beast in the night.
It did. Oh, it did. A beast. Oh, I actually like that. It was like an owl or a raven or a serpent.
Actually, I was thinking more like a horse.
A horse? What's so scary about
a female horse?
A mare?
A nightmare. That's it. That was me. I'm Shakespeare. Shakespeare out. Exit stage right. Farewell! Coming up, what an excellent day for dreams. Well, howdy folks, and welcome to Minute 47 of the Exorcist Minute, a show where we endeavor to examine, extrapolate, and excavate The Exorcist minute by terrifying minute. My name is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I'm Kynan Diaz.
And we'll be your holy guides on this journey through what some have called the scariest movie of all time. Okay, so our minute begins with Damien holding his friend's arm.
And it ends with his mother descending into the subway.
But Kynan, how can that be? Mary Karras is dead!
Because, Lester, this is a dream sequence.
A dream sequence! Whoa! Okay.
We got some dreamy music?
Yeah, we're going to get some dreamy music. Or depending, I mean, this is a pretty scary dream. They ought to make up a word, for bad dreams, Yeah. I don't know, but actually this studio, Kynan, was there anyone else in this studio before I came in? It smells very like, middle-agey. I don't know.
Like someone who hasn't bathed.
Yeah, like someone like someone who, for them, their culture does not value bathing as much. I don't know. It smells really smart though, right? Like
very
anyway.
Creative.
Yeah. Contributing to the English language as we know it. Anyway, But but before that dream, let's take a look here at the end of this scene with Dyer and Dimi. He lets go of his friend's arm and sort of covers his face, Dimi I'm talking about, as if it's just like all too much for him. Dyer then turns off both lights, wishing his friend good night. This made me think of when Karras was wandering through his mother's apartment while she's sleeping, making sure that she's comfortable before leaving her.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the same thing is happening to her son now, right? Dyer is wandering through this room, kind of like checking everything, making sure everything's safe for Dimi, turning off the lights, closing the door, all that stuff, right? And at the door, Dyer stops when he hears from within the room, stealing is a sin. Right. And this is in reference to the last minute where Dyer, jokes that he, or maybe jokes, I don't know, maybe possibly told the truth about stealing the bottle of Chivas Regal. And also a callback to Karras accusing him of stealing his shoes. Again, very jokey between these two, even in times of great sadness.
Right.
Yeah. Dyer smiles and he closes the door. And then
as far as we know, because of, that Dyer closes the door and then we cut immediately to Damien and he's already asleep.
Yes. Yeah. So, that wasn't even in my notes at all. I just kind of assumed that no time had jumped. I thought we were still in real time. But yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we're getting that's movie logic. Movie logic is just, we don't go, what? How did he possibly fall asleep in the the 2 seconds since he said stealing is a sin.
Right. Unless he was like, I don't know, like maybe like half in and half out of waking at that time anyway.
I've been there. That's where I am right now.
Oh. Yeah, folks. We record relatively early for both of us on a weekend. This this is a day of rest. We should be resting. We're actually sinning by recording this
oh my
podcast.
gosh, that's true.
Yeah. But anyway, so Kynan, do you have a favorite dream sequence or in a movie, or possibly like a dream that you had? I'm throwing both of those at you.
Oh gosh. Well, one of my favorite filmmakers is Luis Buñuel, the Spanish filmmaker, and most of his movies are dream-like. So a lot of them, it feels like a dream the entire movie, even though there's not literally like a shot of somebody falling asleep or not. He started out making movies with his friend Salvador Dali. And then Dali gets tired of movies and then just goes back to painting and sculpture. And then Buñuel becomes the major surrealist filmmaker of all time. So I like his movies. Like his most famous one is called Ocean Andalou, which is just like it's like about 17 minutes long, and it has this really famous shot of this woman's eye being split open by a razor blade.
Oh, I think I have seen that image specifically.
Right. Yeah, like there's a barber who's like holding her eye open, and then it cuts to the moon, and a cloud like kind of bisects the moon. It moves across the sky, and then it cuts back, and we see the razor blade slicing the eyeball. And it's not really her eye. It's if you really are looking, if you do a minute by minute of Ocean Andalou, it's very clearly a different eye. It's actually the eye of an animal they got from the butcher shop.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right? But you put it together in your mind, like, oh God, it's like the moon being sliced in half, and it's clearly that woman's eye.
Can you spell that movie for us, just so our listeners can?
It's French, so it's UN.
Don't say it like that.
I've been told that's how you have to pronounce it, or else because I used to say un, which is not correct. That's a different French word.
Okay,
un, UNE. So UN Chien Chien Andalou Andalou. It means an Andalusian dog, and Andalusia is a southern the region of southern Spain, like almost to Morocco. Okay. And that's part of the fun that Dali and then Buñuel, who becomes the major filmmaker, had, is that there's no dog in the entire movie, and it's not set in Spain, it's set in Paris, and the whole thing is like making fun of narrative and trying to get meaning from stories, because there's nothing, no greater meaning can be derived from watching a story, is what they're sort of saying.
Right. Interesting. Oh, I really like that. Okay, I'm going to have to check this movie out.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
But I suppose like a dream sequence, though, like when I was cheating a little bit to promote my favorite filmmaker, but like a dream sequence where we know it's a dream. There's a dream sequence in Carrie that I don't want to say where it is, because it's a surprise, or like what's happening in it. But there's one dream sequence in Brian De Palma's Carrie. And when I saw that for the first time, I screamed out loud. But yeah, I screamed out loud, and I've never done that in a movie before. And then I was watching the movie by myself in my parents' room, and then I after the movie was done, I came out. My brother and sister were like looking at me like, "What's going on?" Like, it was a movie. I was scared.
Oh my goodness. The one that stood out to me when I was thinking of asking you this question about like dream sequences in movies, I guess because of the nature of this dream that we're going to talk about in a moment right here, is that one in All Dogs Go to Heaven, where Charlie goes to hell. Where he gets swept up in.
It's so horrible. That's why I'm laughing.
Absolutely
it's
horrible, right? Don Bluth loves inserting hell into his movies, and this one is no exception. And this one is literally hell. It's like doggy hell. And like Charlie, the dog, gets swept up in this tornado, and then he gets dropped onto a lava boat with this weird dragon thing. But I'm also thinking about like the brave little toaster with the bathtub and the clown. Like these were formative moments in our childhood. You remember that one, right?
Oh, yes. I tried not. I love the Brave Little Toaster. I wonder why I haven't watched it recently. Maybe that's why.
Oh, it holds up. It's very, very good. Yeah.
That bathtub.
Folks who've never seen this are like, bathtub, clown, tornado, lava boat, right? They're all on YouTube, folks. Check them out. The hydrochloric acid of our childhood, right? Check them out today. Then you'll be like, oh, that's why these guys are doing this now.
So I want to point out, so we said, you're asking like dreams and movies. Do we have favorite dreams and movies? We picked nightmares exclusively. Is that because of who we are, or is it because of like those are the dream sequences that we really remember? The nightmare idea.
That's a good question. Is there a tendency by movie makers to, it's like, okay, we're going to do a dream sequence here. It's going to be a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Or are we just remembering the nightmares and not remembering any dreams? Folks, listeners, do you write to us, the Exorcist Minute at gmail.com. Tell us of any like dream sequences in movies that you remember. I don't know. I'm leaning more on the belief that filmmakers just like making nightmares in their movies rather than regular dreams, because like what's a regular dream going to be as interesting as like a nightmare.
The best I can think of now that I'm trying is in Dumb and Dumber. So what's his name, Lloyd, has a dream about meeting Lauren Holly's character. He meets her for the first time. He falls in love with her, and then it goes into a dream sequence, and it's even set to like all I need to do is dream. And it's like it's very 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 romantic, and it's his version of like, what it's like to have a love dream sequence. And then it ends with them by the fire, and they're going to make love, and she takes her shirt off, and you remember what's in her shirt? It's it's headlights from the truck that's coming right towards him in real life.
See, and that's an example right there. And even even as you were saying that, I was trying to think of a good dream, and then like my mind was like, oh yeah, a Goofy movie at the very beginning, right? Max is dreaming about what's her name, Roxanne, and and they're together in this like this field of flowers, and they're all flirty and they're getting all lovey, but that also ends in a nightmare, right? Because he starts becoming his dad, right? Like he starts his knees get all knobby, and his face gets all like big, like Goofy's face, and he does the yuck, yeah, and then she screams, and, yuck. So even when dreams are like they start out good in movies, they always end up like unless it's like a dream that's like too good to be true, and then you got to wake up and realize, oh no, that wasn't real. This is the reality. Life sucks. So it's never a positive thing, even when it's a good dream, because the good dream is only there to like remind you that that's not the reality.
All right. That's interesting.
Right. It's like somebody's kissing you, and then like, it transitions into like your dog licking your face or something like that.
You've been making out with an orangutan.
Right. Yeah. 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 I can never think of like, that was a good dream. Okay. Time to continue on to my adventure. It's like that. But yeah. So as far as me, Kynan, I'm going to tell you a dream that I still remember. That I had when I was very, very young. So there was a time in kindergarten when we were making we set out to make a giant gingerbread man, and we were literally going to make like a child-sized gingerbread man. I think this was like right before the holiday break. We were going to make a gingerbread man, and not a little one, but it was going to be like a kid-sized one. And they needed a model. So they laid me down on butcher paper, and my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Mitchell, took a marker and traced my outline on this butcher paper, all the while cracking jokes about how they were all going to eat me, and the kids, they joined in, and it was just real funny for everybody. It was like, yeah, Lester, was like, you're going to taste so good, we're going to eat you up, and being in kindergarten and trusting adults to not be like this, I was like, oh shit, what have I gotten myself into? It's like, and like there was a part of my brain that was like, okay, this is yeah, this is funny, and just like not being sure about it.
If she was really going to eat me, she wouldn't tell me.
Right. That's not the smart thing to do. And then later that night, of course, spoiler alert, I was fine.
You didn't get eaten?
I didn't get eaten, Kynan.
Because you're fast.
I'm super fast, right?
I jumped off. You can't
Yeah.
catch me. I'm the gingerbread Lester.
Yeah, exactly, right? But no, like so later that night, I had a dream. And I had a dream that, and you always like understand things in the dreams, like without like knowing how you came to that realization. It's just like, it's just a known thing. Like I knew that my teacher, Mrs. Mitchell, was the witch from Hansel and Gretel. And that at some point during the class, she was going to throw me in an oven and cook me. And we were all like sitting and we were eating little gingerbread men. Where did those little gingerbread men come from? I don't know. But like we're all eating them. And she's like, yes, enjoy your gingerbread. And nothing bad will happen, come from this. And I'm just sitting, all the other kids are having fun eating their gingerbread men. And I'm like, I don't know about this. And then at the very last minute, I realized that I'm in a dream, which has never happened to me since.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, all I have to do is wake up and then I'll be okay. And I tried like several times and it wasn't working. I was like, my eyes are already open. How do I open my eyes again? And at the very, very last minute, it's kind of anticlimactic, but I opened my eyes and then I was awake. So yeah. Again, I didn't get eaten.
Mrs. Mitchell, if you're out there,
yeah, Mrs. Mitchell,
you owe my friend Lester an apology.
Yeah, what is the what do we say, like emotional
damage? Yeah,
emotional damage. Yeah, and Mrs. Mitchell, if you're out there, and if you are a witch, that's okay too.
Yes, we've changed our ideas since kindergarten.
Yes, yeah. Just don't eat people.
Right, you can't eat people. You can be a witch if you want to.
Yes, yeah. Okay. But yeah, so like, I don't know. I feel like dreams are always such a cool opportunity for writers, for filmmakers, directors. Anytime you have a dream in a creative project, a piece of art, I'm excited because it holds so much promise, right? It's an opportunity to do things with the fabric of the story without limitations, right? Without adhering to the rules which you have set thus far in the story. You can alter time and space. You can play with sound. You can bring characters back from the dead like we have here, or you can like straight up kill them. You can even make characters fall in love. The dream world is more powerful than Aladdin's genie.
See, we can't bring people back from the dead. We can't make them fall in love with you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But dreams can do that. You can do that in a dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not to get too heady about this, but this dream sequence shows a side of Father Karras we haven't really seen before, right?
Right.
He has this mask, this persona that you were talking about, and now we get to see his inner life. And movies specifically, they spend a lot of their beginning real estate, temporal real estate, if you will. So like the first 30 minutes or maybe like 15 minutes, like about explaining to you how to watch the movie, like what the rules are of this world.
Right.
So we spend our time like trying to establish that this is in the real world, and then there's this force out there that makes these other things happen, and then potentially Father Marin is seeing things a little off, but Father Karras is not. Right, he's seeing things as they are. Like we can trust him. So a dream sequence in any film allows us to break the rules. Like that. That's fair game, right? We say, okay, so this is a world where people talk backwards. This is a world where time and space collide. We can do anything we want in a dream.
Yeah. And I guess like in one way it can be extremely unreliable, right? Especially if we're in the dream of a character who doesn't have all the information, right? But in another sense, it can be like a great insight into exactly what a character thinks and feels, right? Without the social conventions or the limitations, right? And again, like going back to the Shakespeare trope or the Shakespeare trap. But yeah, so I guess we're in here now. But like dreams are less about like information and more about feelings, right? So whatever is happening to you in that dream, you best believe that that is the personal truth of that character, right? It may not be objectively true, but it's true for them because the dream reflects their innermost thoughts, right? So in that way, a dream is like a nice little cheat sheet for a character. Like, oh, okay, this is what they really feel. These are all their motivations. These are their fears, their desires, right? That is, of course, if you can figure it out, right? And that's another way you can play with it. You can tell the truth in a different way with all new puzzle pieces. And part of the fun can be like not quite understanding the dream until later, right? After we've seen it and something in the real world like reminds us of something that we saw in the dream, right?
It's their truth, their character's truths, and sometimes it's their feelings that they don't even know that they had, right? This is how they discover that they really had those feelings.
Right. This is that unconscious, like coming up to the surface and saying, hey, like you think the problem is this, but really it's this.
All right. I want to do some film theory with you, Lester.
Oh, okay.
All right. So let me start with a thought experiment here. So we have a lot of documented evidence that people in the 20th century said that their dreams were a lot like movies. And you've probably experienced this as well. I can remember at least two. I remember one dream of mine that was in black and white. And it was a pod person movie, like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And like you were saying earlier, in dreams you get information as the audience and as the protagonist of the dream, right? Yes. You know that this witch teacher of yours has secrets, and somehow you know the secrets, and somehow you know your own. So you have both the objective and subject information that would be given to a character. And in this black and white pod person dream that I had, I recognized one of the actors. It was Edie McClurg, who I know from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I was really, because can you imagine an Invasion of the Body Snatcher movie where it's like Edie McClurg, he's just the nicest person, and she's like, and then she's in danger, and like, oh God, and it was this barn dance, like this hoedown, and it's like do-si-do thing, and people are spinning each other around. They're getting closer to their partners or not, and like so every time she comes around, she's laughing her Edie McClurg way with her high voice, and she's getting closer and closer to the other pod person every time they come around, and she's having
my goodness,
like, oh no, Edie McClurg, no. So she's the secretary in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and she's the rental car agent in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, with like the best scene in that. And then I had another dream that I remember that was specifically like a movie, like not just like a movie, but a movie, which was like a Poseidon Adventure type dream, like a disaster movie involving like a capsized boat. And in that one, I died.
Oh my God.
So my character died. And then I had to watch the rest of the movie. And I remember even in the dream going, oh, that's a bummer. I'm dead. And I just have to keep watching as the other people go on.
So you were conscious after you had died, and you're like watching the rest of it.
I was a little peeved.
Just sitting there with your non-existing arms folded. It's like, well, this isn't fun at all.
Yes, and eventually credits came up, so that was
good. Well.
But yeah, so there's documented evidence in the 20th century where people were saying, I had a dream that was so much like a movie, right? Now, the question for film theorists is, do we design movies to be like our dreams? Or do people start dreaming like the movies once they're first shown what a movie is?
Interesting. And we've touched on this before. We've touched on this in a previous minute. I think we were in like Iraq, and we were talking about like the dreaminess of Marin's experience.
It's the onerism. Dreams are oneric. It's called dreamlike, right?
Yeah. And that is a good question of like, this chicken or the egg type situation of like, I guess there's no way to be able to tell like what dreams were like before film, right?
It'd be very difficult, right? Because they wouldn't have the vocabulary that it's like a movie. It's cinematic.
Right.
I had a flashback. There was a flash forward.
So even if we're reading like some Elizabethan person's like recounting of their dream, it may not like even then we would probably see it in movie language, like what they're describing, because we have no other way to interpret it.
Can't go backwards. Nope.
Yeah,
you can't
go backwards.
Unimagine a movie, right?
Yeah, interesting. So your question of whether or not like we created movies to be more like our dreams, or our dreams,
or our movies influence the way that we dream.
Yeah, interesting. Huh. Yeah, I have no way.
There's no way to know it. I'll let you off the hook.
Yeah.
Right. It's an impossible, film theory question.
But also, I'm thinking of like snippets of dreams that I've had where they just don't seem to make sense. And it very clearly if it is a movie, it's from my POV, like even to the point of like the camera like being my eyes and moving around, right? And like walking into a room and seeing something like not special at all, and then just like walking out of it, and was like, oh, okay, well, that's where I left that, okay, and then just like walking out, and that certainly isn't like any movie I've experienced. I don't know though, how do we account then for like some of the like more nonsensical kind of like, this is strange, but it's not like anything spectacular type dream. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I think there are movies like that. Maybe not, maybe not genre entertainment, Exorcist like type movies, but I think there are movies that can be like that. Maybe I mean, you could make a movie like that, I suppose, and it would still be a movie.
Yeah, actually. I mean, thinking about it now, I mean, it could almost be like, those like urbex, like urban exploration, type people just like walking through rooms with their shaky phone camera, just kind of like going from place to place and having no like narrative through line or anything like that. So yeah, okay, well there you go. I mean, yeah.
So we solved film theory.
No, I think we answered the question that it can't be solved. I think.
Okay. Oh, great.
So we're back where we started.
Put that above your office door. I'm here to answer the question that it can't be solved.
That can't be solved. Yeah.
So our dreams are like movies. Our movies are like dreams. And in the 1930s and 40s, as a little guy named Sigmund Freud, are you familiar with Sigmund Freud?
Oh, I think I've heard that name before.
As his work starts to permeate into literary studies as opposed to staying within the sciences and medicine, we start having critics who are reading novels and reading plays, and then especially in movies, this becomes a really big thing, where we have Freudian-style film criticism.
Yeah.
And you'll often hear this today because Freud is no longer really thought of as the end-all, be-all, and he's certainly discredited in a lot of the sciences and medical. Like there's very little that science and medicine use Freud for anymore.
Right.
But in criticism, they use him still a lot. But the basic idea is if movies are like dreams, then we can interpret movies as if they were dreams. So we use a lot of the same psychoanalytical dream interpretation that you used to hear Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung do in their practices. Now we'll do it in film theory and then also novel theory, like novel criticism. Yeah, so we can do it a couple of different ways. Some people like to think that if we interpret the movie as a dream, we might even get insight into the director and like as if they were writing their own dreams, or whoever we think of as the main author of the film, the director or the writer or the producer or the main actor. We can look into their brain and start picking at it like Freud.
Interesting. Oh, I really like that. All right. Well, speaking of picking brains and interpretation, let's see if we can interpret this dream. All right. So here we go. Lester and Kynan are on the case. Let's see what we can make of this dream right here in this movie.
Big cigars that mean nothing.
Yep.
Doesn't mean anything. It's just cigars. We're stroking our little beards or Van Dykes.
But yes. Okay. So yeah, let's look at this thing. So we start with the Joseph medal and it's falling. Okay. First question, is this Marin's medal? Is this Karras's medal? Is it just supposed to represent St. Joseph in general or faith? What do we think?
So there are two. Wait.
Actually, okay, so that's a good question. Are there two medals? In the movie, Marin uncovers a Joseph medal in Iraq. Right? And we haven't seen it yet, but like later on, doesn't Karras have the Joseph medal also?
He does because Father Dyer gives it away at the end.
No. Before that.
Yeah. No, so I'm saying yes. He well, there must be a scene. I mean, I'm saying I remember that scene the most, so there must be a scene where he has it before.
Yeah, I'm remembering specifically when he's confronting the demon actually rips it off of his neck.
Right.
Yeah. So at some point, Karras also has a Father Joseph medal. Are we to understand this is the same one? Did Marin give it to him, or does he have another? Are there two medals, or is there one?
Now, at this point in the story, we only know the one, right? We haven't seen Damien with his own, so that's a really good point, right? So we don't know that he has a St. Joseph's medal, so
we're not even supposed to associate this with Karras at all.
I suppose not. So then he would.
This is Marin's medal.
Marin's medal. I mean, again, intellectually we go, oh well, there's a bunch of these things around the world, but emotionally, right? We're like, oh, we've seen this before in Iraq,
right? Oh, okay. Oh man, that actually changes my whole interpretation of this, because I was linking this medal to Father Karras because I know that he has this medal at some point. But I still didn't know if this was like if Father Marin gave him the one that he found in Iraq, or if he already had one extra one.
Oh, they haven't met each other yet.
They haven't even met each other yet. Right. So you're saying, Kynan, the only St. Joseph medal we know about up to this point is the one that Father Marin found.
Right. And then we have a couple other shots and coming up that are from Iraq that Damien would not be able to have seen.
Right. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, okay. So there's that. So yeah, like what do we think this medal is? Like this medal is falling through not space, right? It's not blackness. We're gonna see blackness in a little bit, but there's like something here.
Looks like a rug or something. There's some kind of pattern.
Yeah. I see. Like later on, this dream does feature like a black void, right? But here, there's like this pattern in the back. It's really blurry. It looks like it could be, like you say, Kynan, some kind of like floral design on a carpet or upholstery, like maybe curtains or something like that, right?
Yeah, we're kind of moving down, not quite like super symmetrical, but we're basically moving down the center of this sort of abstract fractal-like pattern.
Yeah. And I think I might know where it is.
Okay.
I think it is a place in our movie. I checked ahead. I cheated a little bit, and I checked ahead, and I think I know it's all the way at the end. But
okay.
I checked to see if there was like any furniture, any carpeting, and I think this might be foreshadowing. I don't know. But like that, which is so cool because like in that way, this metal is doing like double, maybe triple duty, like that fire in the other scene. Like I love how like open to interpretation this is, but also how true all of the interpretations are, right? So yeah, like again, like could this be like Damien falling from grace, right? Like he is losing that last bit of his faith, right? This is the last remnant of his faith, and it is falling away, right? Joseph is the patron saint of fathers, and Damien is losing that title of Father Karras, right? Possibly. So Kynan, would you like, even though we've decided that like upon first viewing, we shouldn't know that this metal is associated with Karras, right? Because it's in Marin's possession. Possession. It's in Marin's possession, and that's all we have seen thus far.
Right.
But I still associate this metal with Karras.
Absolutely.
How about you?
Yeah, when I watched this, to get ready for this show, I was like, okay, that's Karras's metal. It's only afterwards where I have to sort of put myself in the seat of someone who hasn't seen the movie before. Like, oh wait, no, it can't be Karras's metal.
Right. Interesting. So, and again, now, like, however we decide to interpret these things, I can't help but marvel at the fact that both of us immediately associated this metal with him. Like, both of us were like, oh, that is Karras, right? It's not like the dream saying, hey, Karras, Marin is in trouble, or Joseph is in trouble, right? No, like both of us were like, hey, Karras, this is you. You are in trouble, right? And like, however we want to interpret it, I also like how we're so close to it as it falls through the air that we are getting this like sinking feeling, this sense of vertigo.
Oh yeah,
right?
because we're falling with it. It's not that we have a stationary camera and the metal is falling into frame and then out of frame as if it's like sort of past our point of view.
Right.
We are going with it.
Mm-hmm. Now, the next shot is of a black dog, and it's running through this blurry gray landscape that looks kind of wet. Like, my first thought was that we're like back in New York, like on that street that Karras was walking down, like heading to his mother's apartment, right? Like just those broken streets with the potholes, like filled with water, you know? But it's just blurry enough that it could be anywhere, right? It's real low to the ground. There's no skyline. There's no sky. It could be any place. It could be like volcanic ash. Who knows?
Right. There's no horizon. I assumed, and I guess, you're catching me in some of my assumptions. I assumed it was in Iraq, like I was just saying. Because we've seen dogs before, but in that Iraq sequence specifically, they're outside on desert sand and dust.
Right, and it's a very like kind of like orangey yellow, sunrise or sunset like color of the earth that they're on.
But it's like again, like we're blurring these things, right? Like this is father, but we're recalling imagery from Iraq. Even if we just completely thought this was Karras's metal and Karras's dog or a dog in the neighborhood, whatever, like we're echoing, we're mirroring things from the beginning.
Right. So even if this isn't a dog specifically in Iraq, it's reminding us, it's like, oh yeah, where have we seen dogs before?
Right. Very, very visceral imagery of dogs before. So it's hard to like just forget that now.
Yeah. And of course also like, the black dog, right? This famous mythological kind of, messenger, right? Much like, like the banshee or the, or like, I guess like ravens or crows or something like that, right? It's supposed to, be a prelude to death, right? Like you see the black dog and you're like, oh, that means, that someone is going to die, right? And I marked the trajectory of this dog. And I wonder again, like if this is like thinking too much into it, but it sort of makes this arc when he's running left and he circles and he heads to the right. And if you lay these shots on top of one another, like cells on an animation thing, right? He's actually heading for Karras's position in the previous shot. Like almost like he's going for his throat. Right. And similarly, we're going to see in a second, he also could be heading for Mary Karras, right? We get like a brief shot of her, a brief flash, and then she's gone.
Right. So Damien has been on the right side of the frame as Father Dyer puts him to bed. The dog starts, we're kind of, not necessarily match cutting, where we're like, a match cut is if we cut from a circle object like the St. Joseph's medal to another circle object, the sun or a clock or something.
Right.
But there's another idea called eye trace, which is a lot of people have talked about it, but it's most commonly associated with Walter Murch, the editor. He was also the sound designer on The Godfather, and he became a major editor, and he wrote an editing book. But eye trace, like, where is your eye at the end of one shot when we cut into the next shot? So now with my technology, I can move not quite frame by frame, but pretty close. And when I'm looking at this metal, and if I'm watching this metal fall, my eye is in this spot, and then we click once, it's at the dog's mouth. So so it picks up exactly where that is. So then the dog is, as you say, comes a little bit kind of to the left of the, or sort of moving, so that they start positioning the dog where it's running from left to right.
Yeah.
And then when that cuts, if we're looking at the dog's eye, we are cut directly into Mary Karras's nose.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not quite matching. It's not saying these things are similar, but our eye on the cut is where the filmmakers want us to be in perfect position to see the next thing.
Yes. So we get this very brief shot of Mary Karras. And then there's this like flash and she's gone.
Yeah, as in like her, she like a camera flash almost.
Right, like a camera flash. And like, I'm not saying like, so the shot doesn't change, right? Because like we're talking like microseconds right now, guys. This is where like the skip buttons, the 10 seconds forward, 10 seconds backwards in Amazon are like maddening, right? They, because they fling me so far away from the thing that I'm trying to watch, right? But this dream sequence has a lot of it. Like it cuts to different things. It's like we got the clock, we got the dog, we got the face, we got Mary Karras, right? But what I noticed about Mary's specific little bit here is that it doesn't cut from Mary to another thing. First, what happens is she's in this like black void, and we get that flash, and then she's gone, but the black void is still there, right? So after Mary Karras disappears, it doesn't cut to the next shot. It lingers on this blackness, right? As micro quick as it is, like it feels like that's intentional. Like that's all one single thought. Like Mary Karras against a black background, and then she disappears, leaving only the void. And then we cut to a shot of the clock pendulum.
Right.
So yeah, like, and I want to talk a little bit later about like, in this dream, the like different types of like darkness and blackness, right? But yeah, so they could have just like gone from Mary to the clock, right? Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they just go, quick flash, Mary to the clock? It was Mary, blackness, clock.
And then just the way that our perception works, not just with sight, but in any of our senses, if we have a big sensory overload, with like this light flash, then the opposite of that, the darkness, feels even darker than if we had never seen that.
Yeah, precisely, right? So they chose to have her disappear from her own shot before moving on to the next one, right? So his mother is gone. It's only blackness now, right? Then we got the clock pendulum, right? Time has passed, or time is passing, right? Or time is running out, right? And that's the pendulum from the clock in Iraq.
It has to be, right? It's so noticeable because we've had a very similar shot this close to the pendulum with the same pattern. I mean, so it's unmistakable.
Right.
So that's part of the great thing about, picking out stuff for set decoration and design. Like, okay, this is a really important clock. We need the audience to know for sure this is the exact same one. So let's make it a little noticeable. There's sort of an asterisk in the glass of the pendulum, the clock, or the grandfather clock, so we know what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very distinct. I always thought it like until like inspecting this further, that it was like some kind of flaw in the glass, like a crack or something.
Right. The kind you get in your car if you drive in Los Angeles.
Precisely. Right. With all those little stones on the roads and stuff like that.
Pretty.
Right?
It's a little star that's coming out.
Yeah. You're gonna see stars in LA, kid. All kinds of stars.
So before we move on, I just want to reiterate that, like, so maybe the Joseph medal is Damien's medal that he's remembering. Maybe the dog is his own dog, and it's us as the audience who was putting those things together, and
quite possibly
the filmmakers willfully creating this elision between these two, or maybe collision. But this is the clock from the office of the Dean of Antiquities in Nineveh, right? In Iraq. This shot, however, of this clock is a moment that we've seen. It's a feeling, it's a memory, it's an impulse from Father Marin. It's that is impossible for Karras to have experienced or even to have heard about. Where this is the clock in the office of the Dean of Antiquities. No, wait, not the Dean.
Yeah. I love how we've mashed those two up. He's the Dean of Antiquities.
Oh my goodness!
And the curator of the university. Yes,
he's the curator of the Museum of Antiquities in Nineveh, in Iraq, right?
Yes.
And Father Karras has no reason to have even heard about this happening, right?
Right. Correct. Yeah.
And this feeling that Father Marin experienced, right, that he might not even he wouldn't have told anybody, right? He doesn't tell his friend, the curator, that, hey, as I'm talking to you, this clock has stopped and I don't know if time exists anymore. Like we see him specifically not sharing his fears and his thoughts with that curator.
Right.
So it's like this, it's not just like this moment of weirdness or what have you. It's like a deeply unsettling moment that Damien has apparently, consumed from somewhere in the ether.
Yeah. And what is the one thing we remember about that clock? It stopped that one time, right? But now it's in motion. Right. This is the exact opposite of what the clock was famous for. Right.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So next shot is Mary Karras, and she is rising from the earth, right? Rising from the dead, or from a subway station, right? Because that's what it actually is, right?
Same
thing, right? You feel like you're in the land of the dead when you're taking the subway. But yeah, so, and then we have Dimi, right? No Father Karras here, right? He is dressed in regular clothes, white on top, black on the bottom. He is on a traffic island. I guess that's what you call those things, right? He's waving. He's trying to get his mother's attention. We don't hear anything. I love also this choice to have not just no sound, right? Because if you listen, folks, it's not the absence of sound. We are hearing Damien's breathing,
right, from real life when he's been sleeping, right?
Yeah, so he's still in that room, sleeping with the lights off, right? And he's making these kind of like mouth nasal like breathing noises, right? Like there's a little catch in his throat, right? And we can hear that, and it's very intimate.
Breathless, heaving breaths.
Yes, precisely, right? But no, it's almost like he's like so close to us, like he's in our ear, right? And that makes me think it's like we are so in this dream. We are in this dream with him. But yeah, I really, really like that. And yeah, so the dream itself, we don't hear anything, right? But we see in the dream, we see Dimi shout, "Mama." Right. And it's got it. There's no other like interpretation of that. He is shouting "Mama." Right. And then we cut back to his mother, and she's looking lost and afraid. And she calls out Dimi. Again, it's unmistakable. Right. He's saying "Mama" and she's saying Dimi. Right. And this look on her face is so upsetting. Right. Like she's lost and she's afraid. And we can't really hear the city. We hear something. Right. Because now another sound is kind of like permeating into this dream, right? But we can imagine the noise and the chaos of, that this poor woman, is experiencing, right? She looks like she has groceries, right? That little touch, right? I don't know why, but like that hits me. Like she went to go out and get food, to fix for her Dimi, right? And time doesn't exist in dreams, right? So he's seeing his mom as she was in all times, right? So at the same time with the groceries, here she is dressed in black, right? That could be like her funeral clothes, or she's mourning or something, right? But she's also dressed, in her Sunday best, right? And she's going out and running errands, right? Doing a little shopping, right? It like all of this can like be existing at the same time in this dream, right? This is not Mama with in the bed with the bad leg, so she can't walk anymore, right? This is Mama taking care of business, right? Taking care of Dimi, right? Or at least she's trying to, but she's getting older and the city is getting meaner and noisier and harder to navigate.
Right. I like that a lot. We talked a little bit about our ideas of heaven, and if you go to heaven and your grandmother is 60, the way that you want to remember her, in her heaven, she might not be 60, she might be 20, or she might be 80 when she passed away, right? And this is sort of an amalgamation of all these ideas he has of his mother.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, in her shot as she's coming up from the subway, she comes up kind of slowly, right? And she it's not incredibly stylized where she's like on a rig where they're making her rise up without walking, but she
Right.
does.
You can see the
You
steps.
could see the steps, but it still gives the feeling, right, of her sort of rising up,
Yes.
and everyone behind her is moving just horizontally, so she's the only thing that's sort of breaking the horizon there and moving up. And then in
Yes.
Damien's side of it, it looks like behind him we have both lanes of traffic are heading against him. So he's in some area where he's not walking with traffic at all. He's walking against traffic. And then behind him, it's like a bridge or something that all the cars are starting to go. So at a certain point, they're all rising up. So in his frame, as he's trying to come towards us, we continue that rising action of Mary, but it's going in the background against Damien.
Right, right. Yeah. Whew. And yeah, so Kynan, once again, I'm pausing, I'm rewinding. I'm trying to read Mary Karras's lips. It looks like she says Dimmy, right? Like I said. And something else, it looks like she says maybe just Dimmy again, right? And so I try to pause, and guess what I paused on? Or guess who?
No.
It's our good buddy, Captain Howdy. And folks, this is the famous shot. This is the shot that's been duplicated and replicated all across the internet. This image right here. And if you don't already have it burned into your brain, just hop on Google and type Captain Howdy face, and it's the first, second, third thing that pops up, right? And I want to talk about this shot. I've been waiting to talk about this shot for quite some time now. It's funny because we're talking about we're examining a minute of this film, and we're examining it by seconds, but this is even shorter than a second. This is I don't even know what you a millisecond, right? But we've seen Captain Howdy in the hospital in that added scene. But I wanted to hold off until we got to this scene because, one, this one is so iconic, and two, this one would have been the first one that people ever saw. Imagine, folks, you're in the theater, you're in the dark, the sound has just cut out or it has become muffled in this weird dream sequence, right? You're being lulled into this dreamy nature of the images playing before your eyes. You get a falling metal, you get a dog, you get a clock, you get Mary Karras, it's like, Dimmy, and it's almost like the movie is whispering, hey, these images mean something. Hey, come closer. Lean in. See if you can interpret the meaning of these images. And then, hang on, what was that? I didn't see that, did I? You did. And what I like about this, by design, this white face against a black backdrop is going to leave an after image on the surface of your eyes. So your brain is actually going to linger a little longer on this thing even after it's gone. Right? Has that ever happened to you? Like you've looked at, they have those little visual tricks, right? It's stare really, really hard at this, at this black image and then stare at a white backdrop, right. And you'll see, or vice versa, stare at this white image and then look at a black backdrop, and it's almost like there's a shadow kind of on the surface of your eyes as you look away.
Yeah, they call that the persistence of vision. And for many decades, that's what perceptual science, I don't know what you call them. Sensory psychologists. There's probably a better term. But, psychologists who study how we perceive. They thought that the persistence of vision, this idea that you're talking about, or when I shine a flashlight in your face, or, the camera flash goes off and you still see it even after the camera's put away, right? They thought that that's how the illusion of movement works in movies. And more recently we say it's not actually, but that's sorry.
You brought me up and then you brought me down.
But you hear that term a lot associated with movies, the persistence of vision, because it just has this nice term to it. And then vision is this double meaning, right, of how we see, but then also how we create, and art, right, vision.
Right.
But it's not quite, that's not how it works actually, but it's but it certainly is one of these things that we get to explore, in our sensory psychology. Kids can explore this, right, just on their own, the persistence of vision. So it's one of the most interesting sort of psychological party games that we can play with ourselves.
Yes.
And so, in this shot, similar how we had a shot of Mary Karras and then it flashes white at this poor woman's face. It looks to me like that's actually them flashing an extra light on her, and it's not in the edit. When you go back and look frame by frame, as I'm doing, that's what I think is happening. So, by making it super white, then the black afterwards feels more black. Yeah, we have a little bit of that here. And then I actually can go in my Blu-ray rip as an MOV, I can go frame by frame. So you're talking about how much of Captain Howdy do we actually see? We see 2 frames of Captain Howdy, which would be
Wow.
1/24th of a second. So it goes black, 1/24th of a second Captain Howdy, white, 1/24th of a second of Captain Howdy, and then black. And that's all.
Wow.
So we're talking about 2 frames.
And just how iconic those 2 frames have become, like just in the, I guess, community of, the people who watch this movie.
Right.
Like this is like one of the main things that people talk about or people remember.
And how much
2 frames.
Yeah, like you're talking about how like we're seeing it afterwards, right? It's burned into us. It's like we're leaning in metaphorically. And so we only see it for 2/24ths of a second, but we feel it for much longer.
Yes, definitely. It stays with us. And I think so. I believe Andy Nelson, right? Marvel Movie Minutes, Andy Nelson. He was talking about like his experience of watching this film and like kind of the rumors circulating about it's like, oh, if you watch the movie and you see the devil in it, do you think this is what he's talking about? Like the little Captain Howdy flash?
I think so, right? Because it's the type of thing that we have evidence of people saying like, I'm not sure what I saw. Right, is they come out of the theater in 1973 and like asking each other and going back and seeing the movie again.
Right. So this is kind of guaranteeing that different audience members are going to have a different experience because you could blink, you could literally blink and miss this, or you could like I don't know, like check your popcorn or something like that. I almost said check your phone, but like you wouldn't have your phone. Yeah,
check your rotary phone that you brought.
That you brought to the Exorcist.
In case you need to call an ambulance to get out of there.
Right.
There are all these stories about people going into the lobby, fainting, being dragged out to the lobby by their friends, and then having to call an ambulance. But if you had a phone in the theater with you, you save precious seconds.
Yep. Now I'm just imagining all the ushers like tripping on like rotary phone wires. It's like, damn it. So we got to let them do this though. They this is good.
It's good for business. All this publicity. The ambulances outside of the theaters literally became publicity for the Exorcist. We go, oh well, gosh, what is it? Did someone? Oh no, this movie was just so fucking scary that they had to call an ambulance. Right? Oh great, I'll bring my kids next week.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm a good Catholic. I'll go see this.
All sorts of things. I mean, like, so you're talking about reaching out, but say, seeing this really emotionally harrowing scene, maybe you start to tear up and you miss Captain Howdy.
Right. Yeah. This is like, not only is it sneaky in how quickly it pops up and disappears again, but it's in a place that you kind of wouldn't expect it to be, right? This is an emotional scene. This is not like ooh, something scary is going to happen. This is like, oh no, like Harris and his mother, like, oh no, So it's like, it's even jarring in that sense. But okay, so I want to break this thing down. Other people want to talk about the Mona Lisa or Starry Night or Last Supper. I want to talk about this thing, Kynan. What is it about this face, about this image that both of us seem to be like drawn to so much, right? What are the ingredients, the components, the boxes that are being checked off, for us in this thing, right? I have some ideas. Like Kynan, you said that, Captain Howdy is your favorite character, and correct me if I'm wrong. You're specifically referring to this guy right here, right? Even to the point of, even to the point of thinking of him as like separate from like demonic Reagan or Pazuzu and yes, folks, we know as our dear friend Father Marin will later say, right, there is only one. But when you say Captain Howdy, you mean this face, correct?
This Captain Howdy guy who shows up in people's dreams and it's like blah, 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 and this Captain Howdy guy who plays the Ouija board, right, as the imaginary friend. Yeah, this is my dude.
Okay, all right.
He's mischievous to me. That's what I like about him.
Interesting. Okay, so you see him as like this almost maybe like sprightly or maybe like gremlin-y,
like monkey god type person, because he kind of looks like a monkey god.
I'm so glad you said
okay,
that.
Great.
I am so glad. You didn't look at my future notes, did you?
No.
Oh, good. This is happening organically, folks. The magic of podcasting.
He's a monkey god. Okay, great. Good.
Yeah, let's hold on to that monkey thing for let's hold on to it with all of our opposable thumbs. And yeah, we are going to talk about that. But yeah, so Kynan, before we talk about the monkey god that is Captain Howdy, Kynan, have you heard of the film Oni Baba?
I have heard of it, but I have not seen it, unfortunately.
Okay, so I want you to hop onto Google, hop onto our friend Google, and just Google Oni Baba and tell me what you see.
This is probably, I believe I've seen this image. Let's see here. Hello, Google. Oh no, that's an Onibaba, all right. Yes, I've seen that image, and unfortunately, I haven't seen the rest of the movie. So the one that I'm most familiar with, there's a couple of we see the same face, but the image I'm most familiar with, it's sort of like a no mask, a Japanese no mask. And
Yes.
the image that I'm most familiar with is this person. I guess it's a woman potentially,
Mm-hmm.
or at least someone with long hair, and she's holding the mask on, and it looks like she's it's an ambiguous feeling, but it looks like she is wincing in pain or terror at herself.
Yes. Yeah. You're talking about the expression of the mask.
The expression
right?
of the mask and the way that she's holding it up on her face, right, makes it look like she's in some kind of turmoil herself, right?
Yes. Yeah. So apparently Friedkin saw this movie, Onibaba, and according to him, that is the inspiration for this face we got here.
Oh, very cool. I love hearing when Japanese film has influenced American film and vice versa. We think of them as being very separate, as being, a world away, but they go back and forth, where in the early days, a lot of Japanese cinema is heavily influenced by American cinema, like the Western, John Ford Westerns. Right. And then after 1950, when Japanese cinema starts to be seen around the world, then it becomes a back and forth where they're trading ideas and trading off style.
Right. And I believe we have like the Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven, like being like, kind of almost mirror images of each other.
Well, you're being kinder. The Magnificent Seven is just a bootleg version of the Seven Samurai. It's just completely.
Oh, well, there we go.
And then A Bug's Life, I would say, is more homage than ripoff. Like that's A Bug's Life is Seven Samurai, but that one I think is more like admitting it.
Oh my gosh! Now that I think about it, yeah.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
The Bug's Life is it's the whole story. Oh my gosh!
It's Seven Samurai, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, as in like we have these bandits who are attacking our town, and we're peaceful by nature. We're ants, right? And we can't do this, and so we need to get some outside people to help us. And it turns out that they are not as put together as they are led to believe.
Right. Oh, that is so cool. Okay, well now I want to watch Bug's Life again.
Right. I don't know which character. Like I don't know if Heimlich is a certain character. That's the Toshiro Mifune character from Seven Samurai. But yeah, it's the same story beats.
Oh no, we have to do this bit by bit, right? Like who's Heimlich? Who's
the stick guy? Yeah.
Right, who's the ladybug? Who's the what's his name?
Francis the ladybug.
Francis the ladybug, yeah. Right?
Everyone thinks that he's a lady ladybug, and he gets really mad. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
P.T. Flea, yes. P.T. Flea is is the leader of them, yeah. And he looks a little bit like the lead samurai, I suppose, now they think about it, Takashi Shimura's character.
Oh,
but,
okay. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
How deep does this go? As deep as an anthill. But yeah, okay. So folks, just to kind of fill you in. So Onibaba is a Japanese film, and without giving too much away, one of the characters, like Kynan said, wears this mask from traditional Japanese theater. You've probably seen it before in anime and manga. This mask represents a creature called an oni. That's O-N-I, which is a kind of Japanese demon. Not exactly the same as Western demons, right? They are their own thing. And I highly recommend, like, if you like mythology and mythological creatures, like I recommend check them out. Onis, O-N-I. But within the oni, there is a specific subgroup called Onibaba, or demon hag, like baba being like the Japanese slang for old woman. Now, in No theater, that's N-O-H theater, I believe this mask is more commonly referred to as a Hanya mask. That's H-A-N-N-Y-A. But they are the same. Specifically, they are a woman who has been turned into a demon out of rage or jealousy or desire for vengeance, right? A vengeful spirit, right? Specifically female. Now, I don't know if Friedkin was looking at any of this lore necessarily. I think he just saw the mask and thought it looked scary, right? Which it does. It's a very unique look. Even if you look at other masks of other like onis, or oni, I don't know what the plural is. They don't have plurals in Japanese. Yeah. If you look at other masks of other oni, like male oni and stuff like that, this is a very specific, different look, right? Like you have like these like kind of protruding, bulging like brows that kind of like hang over the eyes and make the eyes look kind of like, I don't even know, like sad or like you were saying, Kynan, like in turmoil, right?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to put this into words for myself even, but it's like you're being haunted by something that is haunted itself, right?
Yes. Like you can see the possessed person's like terror.
Right.
Almost.
So it's coming to Onibaba you, but it's been Onibaba itself.
Yeah, precisely. What is someone I got to do to get Onibaba around here? Like, before you Onibaba anybody else, Onibaba yourself. What is it? What is it? Oh, what is it like Onibaba unto others as you would have yourself Onibaba unto, Yeah. There we go.
Ask not what your country can Onibaba for you. Ask what you can Onibaba for your country.
Yes, right.
But there's this right in Japanese we say an oni is a demon, which it is, but in Japanese culture and Japanese religion, the native Japanese religion, which is called Shinto, right? Like there are spirits of everything. It's an animist style religion. I don't want to say that it's animist of itself, but if we think of animist religions where there are spirits of rocks and spirits of water and the river and this specific tree has a spirit. So this is in a world where there are oni. They're a world where everything has, I suppose, mostly neutral spirits, right?
Yeah.
Not like everything is good and all the spirits are good and then there's a couple bad ones. Most of them just mind their own business.
Precisely. Yeah. So like even within the world of like there are spirits all over the place, like oni are specifically like demonic, right? But again, not like the demonic, like they're not like the Christian, like fallen angels or anything like that. They don't, it is a different thing. And again, check them out because they are really, really interesting. They kind of feature as the stock villains in a lot of like the Japanese fairy tales. Like I'm thinking like of Momotaro and like all of those stories about, like someone going off to like seek their fortune and they gotta outsmart like all of the oni and all that stuff.
And even like, if I remember right, you lived in Japan and I'm just a weeb, so you can correct me.
Well, I am as a weeb as well. So.
Right. But like, even on like New Year's, right, you try to purify your house as this kind of a spring cleaning and say, Oni wa soto fuku wa ichi, right? Like get out bad things out, good things in.
Yes. So you're thinking of Setsubun, which is a specific holiday. It's different from New Year's, but like there is a holiday called Setsubun where you literally you have this like box of beans. I think they're soybeans.
They're delicious. I ate them rather than throwing them.
And like they're just these uncooked, like hard little pebbly beans that you like throw at, you just kind of like throw and you say it's like, like you're chasing the bad luck because I guess, like they're also like associated with bad luck and bad, misfortune and stuff like that. You're chasing them out of the house. Right. And depending on like where you live, and like how fun your little community is, you might have like all of the males in the village or the town or whatever, like they'll put on like these little oni masks and they'll run around and they'll scare, the little kids and the little kids have the opportunity of throwing like beans at their dad, and it's like, get out of here, and it's a nice little, it's a really nice little holiday. Also check out Setsubun, Setsubun, the little Setsubun festivals, right? And you'll see that those masks that the oni wear are very, very different. They look like if Mario was a devil, as opposed to this horrific Onibaba that we have. But so let's get back to our buddy Captain Howdy here. Even if he was partially inspired by the Onibaba mask, he's taken on a shape and a personality all his own for sure, right? There's a couple of things I want to talk about. Firstly, again, I may have said this before, but what did demons and devils look like before 1973? Like certainly not this, right? Again, no horns, no red face, no fangs, right? I've talked to people who've misremembered this guy and they say, oh yeah, the white face with the red eyes and the fangs. He doesn't have fangs.
He just got regular people teeth.
He's got regular people teeth. Like they're very, very prominent. They're very, very obvious. These are regular people teeth. And he doesn't have red eyes per se, right? He has like red rimmed eyes, but like his eyes are just like eyes. And also, so this is one thing. He's not smiling. That's actually something that I really like and I want to comment on a little bit later. But like most of the Captain Howdy images are not smiling. They're not like, I'm going to get you, right? Maybe that one, we'll have to go back and look at like the one that was added in the hospital. I think he like shows his teeth, but I don't know if that's necessarily a smile. I don't know, right? Like, but like in that one, he's kind of like teasing Reagan. So maybe that's a smile, right? In this one, he looks like he's either observing Karis or observing the dream that Karis is having, or maybe both? And that's a good question. Kynan, what do you think is going on right now in the mind of the character of Captain Howdy? Is he looking at Karis? Is he the one planting the dream? Like, he's not looking directly at the camera, right? Like, he was in the hospital when, looking at Reagan, and like he was looking at the camera because we are Reagan, right? In that one, I think he's like showing himself to Reagan. I don't know if he's showing himself or communicating with Karis here. It seems more like he's watching Karis from the shadows, or maybe watching the dream. What do you think?
I think I know what you're saying. I think you're right. I think it's good to point out that these are different shots than the ones that we see in Reagan's point of view, right? That one's looking directly at her, at the camera. I still think that Captain Howdy is trying to be seen. It does still feel to me like he's going, oh, booga booga boo. I think he wants it. I don't think we're meant to be like, oh, he's hiding in the dream, or that Karis isn't supposed to see him. I think this is like, howdy.
Howdy. Hey. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I think we might have a slightly different interpretation, but whatever it is, he looks hungry, right? He looks like careful planning is about to come to fruition, right? With the completion of this dream, he sees that the dream is working on Karis, and he's like, yes, just a little more, just almost there, so close, right? And whether or not he's planting this dream, like, he's watching it very intently. He's very invested in how this dream affects Karis, right? This look of hunger. Actually, it reminds me of in the Two Towers, right? There's this close-up of Gollum's face. We first meet him, and he's like sort of ambushed Frodo and Sam. He's climbing down this cliff face, and then he pounces on them, right? And like now he's like wrestling them, and he's on top of Frodo, right? And he's reaching for the ring, and he almost has it, and they close up on his face, and he strains to grab it, and his eyes bulge, and he bites down on his lower lip, and his cheeks sort of like puff out, right? As he's straining. He's so close, he's so hungry. And that reminded me of this Captain Howdy face, right? Like, it's this intense, hungry look, like he's so close, right? Like, this is another chess piece that he's moving, and it's almost in the perfect position, right?
Yeah, he's straining. He is maybe desperate in the way that you're saying, even.
Could be, yeah, right. Like he sees something within his grasp, right? And he's almost maybe like this is Palpatine levels of putting stuff together, right? He's trying to get everybody like together at the end, right? He's trying to bring Karis, he's trying to bring Merrin, he's trying to bring everybody together, right? And so he's like, good, right? Like Palpatine would be. It's like almost, right? It's almost there, right?
Feel it.
Yes, let the anger flow through you. Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of that, right? Palpatine has his little hood, right? We never know what the rest of his head looks like. So I'm actually very curious, Kynan. I'm curious of what you think about what's going on with the rest of Captain Howdy. Like, what does he look like if we turned on all the lights, right? What would we see? We know that his face is white. Is his whole head also white? Is that black stuff on his cheeks and his brow, is that supposed to be shadow, or is that his skin color? Like he's like one of those black cats with a white face.
Yes. That's what I always assumed. I haven't thought about it, but yeah, we turn on the lights and he's all in Ed Hardy and big gold chains, and he's got sleeve tattoos. I don't know. I've never thought about it. I guess I prefer, since there's nothing else I had thought. I guess I prefer that he is just the white face and everything else is black.
Okay. Yes. I think you and I are on the same page. Yeah. Cause for me, that shading around his cheeks and everything is a little bit too stark, right? I cannot see it as shadow, right? I wonder if that's what they were trying to do. We're going to put Eileen Dietz in blackness, and we want it to be just the white part of her face is peeking out from the blackness. But you would see gradients of light, right? Exactly. You would see the dome of his head. You would see his ears and stuff like that. If the light was shining on the face that brightly, you would see you would see the outline, right?
Staring at this image of Captain Howdy, as I often do before I go to sleep, I have this picture on my bedside table and just
wait, really?
The edges of it. No. It calms me.
I'm so gullible, right?
It chills me out. It
Mhm,
relaxes me. No,
It chills me out.
Right. Some people put on the news and fall asleep to Fallon. I fall asleep to Captain Howdy. No, but I think that the edges of her face, where it's white, I believe that she actually has red makeup that are sort of the edges here.
Oh,
So if you want to pull that up again, if you have a shot of it,
yeah, I'm looking.
yeah, the edges of her, I think what is actually receding into darkness is
Mhm.
red rather than, and then it goes into black.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's like this weird reddish brown thing
Mhm.
that's going on, right?
Right. So I don't think they just draw a black line around her and then cover the rest of her in black. I think they're drawing a red line and it's blurred a little bit and then it goes.
Interesting. Okay, so we're even like it's even more obviously a part of the face and not like the shadows that are obscuring the face.
Right. And I want to say, so this is Eileen Dietz again. And
Yes.
have we just been stereotypically like misogynist, chauvinistic pigs and just assuming that a lady demon can't be a captain?
You're absolutely right. Because in my notes, I keep on referring to the demon as he.
Yeah, everybody says that, right? Yeah, we all say that, right? If we're like, oh, I went and saw Dr. Klein. Oh, how is he?
Right.
Like, why can't Dr. Klein be a woman?
Right. Exactly.
Right. So yeah. So I don't know.
Why can't he be one? I would
there's-
much prefer that actually in this movie. Get this guy out of here. No offense to Barton Heyman, but like, yeah, if Chris were dealing with another woman, this would be a shorter movie.
Right.
None of this male ego bullshit.
Oh yeah, all these tests that we have to put her through, your poor daughter through, right? Yeah, I mean, I know that intellectually, right, Pazuzu is a male demon, but
Right.
I mean, what makes Captain Howdy a male except that he has a male job, I suppose, for the 19th
A male. You're talking about Captain. You're not talking
Yeah.
about like demonic possessor.
No, I mean Captain. Yeah, he's Captain Howdy.
Only men can be demons.
I mean, I'm still always like doctors no longer, you know,
Right.
I don't know what the numbers are, but like we don't necessarily think of, oh, if it's a doctor, it must be man, even though we catch ourselves all the time saying that in language, right?
Right.
But like when we hear, oh, my doctor is a woman, we don't go, oh,
Yeah.
but like still, so I'm always surprised when there are still jobs that are like that are gendered, like, I can remember like the 3 times I've had a woman who's the pilot of my commercial flight, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like, oh, it's weird how there are still these barriers.
Yeah. There's actually, on my door at school, I have what I refer to as like a really easy riddle, right?
Mhm.
And the riddle goes, let me see if I can, remember it from photographic memory. So a man and his son were in a car crash and they get rushed to the hospital. And the doctor comes in, and the doctor looks at the son and says, "I can't operate on this boy. He's my son. How is this possible?"
Mm-hmm.
And like the hoops. I mean, okay. Answer of that is that the doctor is his mother, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. But like if you and we sort of gave that away with what we're talking about and everything, but. I tell you, Kynan, like you go and you pose that riddle today, even to people, and they will go through hoops. They'll be like, "Oh, okay, so the father was in the car crash with him. The father is a Dr. Ghost. The boy has 2 fathers. This is his adopted father. This is what they will bend over backwards before they come to the conclusion that this boy has a mother and a father, and the mother is the doctor."
Right. Yeah, I do like the Generation Z answer that he has two fathers. I mean, that's a new acceptable answer.
Right.
But exactly. They've been doing that riddle forever, and it's interesting how you can still catch people.
Or time travel. They'll go into time travel. Oh my God.
So, women can be demons who possess little girls.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've come a long way, Baba.
Yes. Now, and yeah, Onibaba. Onibaba is specifically, a female demon. Although, actually, I don't think that that's a very good representation of that, because I think they're basically just saying whenever a woman gets angry or emotional that she becomes this demon, this Onibaba.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, kids, you can do whatever you want when you grow up. Yeah, you can be president. You can be Pazuzu. You can be President Pazuzu. Madam President Pazuzu. Let's make it happen.
Nice
Pazuzu
ring to it.
2023. No. But yeah, so just to just to jump back, and talk about this shading on the face, right? For me, like I said, that shading is like just too stark, right? I can't see it as shadow. I can only see it as part of Captain Howdy, and so I always took that to be like if you turned on the lights, Captain Howdy would be covered in like black fur with that white face, like I saw Planet of the Apes before I saw Captain Howdy. And just like the shape of the surrounding blackness that is definitely not shadow, right? The way it frames the face reminds me of Cornelius from Planet of the Apes, right? And folks, I'm not saying that Eileen Dietz looks like a monkey. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you frame the human face in this way, guys with beards, shave your mustache, shave the front of your beard, shave your eyebrows, but leave like the bottom of the beard, leave the mutton chops, the sideburns. That's what a monkey face looks like, right? We all look like monkeys if you do this, right? And I cannot unsee, and maybe that's why Captain Howdy doesn't scare me the way that Captain Howdy seems to scare other people, right? But maybe now I've made it less scary for you. I don't know. I don't know if I should apologize for that or.
And before we get any emails, which we love emails at the Exorcist Minute, all one word at gmail.com. Yeah. Cornelius is not a monkey. He is a chimpanzee. We are aware of that. Chimpanzees are apes on the Planet of the Apes.
I thought
we
you
know
were
the difference.
Okay, yes, we do, right? Yes, he doesn't have a tail. He is a chimpanzee, right?
Cornelius and Zira are chimpanzees.
Dr. Cornelius and Dr. Zira.
And Dr. Zayas is an orangutan, and the other ones are gorillas. I don't know if any of them. They must have names.
Yeah. I thought you were jumping in about the emails, to talk about like how I just basically said all humans look like monkeys, and no, you were like, no.
Well, I mean, we are apes.
We do.
We are apes.
Yeah.
So yes, it shouldn't be surprising that humans look like apes. We are apes.
Right. There's actually, I was reading an article before how. You know how like very unfortunately, some racist people will use derogatory, language to compare other races to like monkeys and everything like that. Yep. Apparently, like all across the board, any race that comes into contact with another race, will say that race looks like monkeys. Right, including white people. We have been called the blue monkeys by other races that have seen us for the first time. Right. So, which is to say, we all have monkey ape features.
Right, but every culture, like to otherize, they often go towards you look like you're subhuman, right? You look like the next step down from a human, which would be a macaque or something.
Yeah, and because you don't look exactly like us, we're going to notice the things that like the primate features, which all of us have.
Because we are primates.
Because we are primates, right? But yeah.
Who's the biggest primate is Pope Francis. Because he's the primate.
Sorry, you got it.
He's the primate of Rome.
Wait, what?
You don't know that? Pope
you have to give me some context.
That's his title. He's the primate of Rome.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
The primate of Rome. Hang on. Yeah. Google, help me out. It's not that I don't trust you. Hang on.
You can cut all this out if it's. I thought that was known enough, but
primate of Rome.
Yeah.
From Latin primus, meaning the first one. Primate is a title bestowed upon bishops, and the Bishop of Rome, the Pope, is the primate of Italy. Right. What? What? Kynan, now all I can see in my head, like forget the Statue of Liberty, forget the Lincoln memorial at the end of Planet of the Apes. We gotta have a scene where the primate of Rome turns around at the end and he gives everybody a blessing, and he's a chimpanzee.
But yes, like that should be a movie that we write, is the primate of Italy, and it's about the monkey who becomes the first chimpanzee who becomes the Pope.
Oh my God.
It could be animated or whatever. That's fine.
Yes. Yeah, sure, whatever. We'll get Andy Serkis to do it if not, Yeah. Wow.
Okay, anyways.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, okay. So I'm super glad that we see Captain Howdy the same way. I mean, see Captain Howdy however you want.
Right.
Actually, when I did the AI, imagining Captain Howdy and Christmas, that I put up on the compelling conversations thing, they tried so hard. AI tried so hard to complete Captain Howdy's like body and like give him like a head and ears and like a neck and everything like that. And I don't know, the results are pretty interesting. As much as I like disagree morally with AI now, AI art now.
Yeah.
I might post those up. Yes, right. The AI has already generated these images. I might put them up in the Facebook group. But yeah, so actually, folks, we also do have a Facebook page for the show, The Exorcist Minute. So, like and follow that for updates. And like I said, we have a listener group. It's called Compelling Conversations. Come and join, and then you'll be in here with us, right? And you can post the memes. You can interact with fans. You can talk with us. We're also pretty active on there. And it's a great group of people. We got in there already. Lastly, if you like the show, the best thing you can do for a podcast that's just starting out is to leave a little 5-star review, and that'll help us reach more people and keep growing this cool community. All right. Yeah. Kynan, is there anything else that we need for this minute?
No, I think we got it.
All right. So, Kynan, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I think I am, Lester.
Folks, until next time, the power of Oni Baba compels you. Pazuzu 2023. No, 20. Pazuzu 20. What's the next one?
2024.
2024. Pazuzu 2024.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell with universal health care.
Oh, I'm laughing because that's so horrible.
Right. Well,
Pazuzu would bring universal health care, and also famine and plague and all that stuff. But universal health care.
Pazuzu is weak on the border. He comes from Iraq and just goes into our nation's capital.
Oh, God. That would be like whoever is running against Pazuzu, that would be the first thing that they mention. It's like, it's like Madam President Saddam Pazuzu over here. Pazuzu Hussein Howdy. Crooked Pazuzu. God. Yeah.
Drain the swamp, specifically outside of the McNeil house, because that's where the demons live.